everybody. So we're just about to start week 3, and I just want to give you a little context for the direction that we're going in. Last week we covered the first two core areas of linguistics, which have to do with sound, phonetics, and phonology. And then this week we're going to get into a little bit of a side area. So we're going to take a deep dive starting this week into language processing, language acquisition. It is an area called neurolinguistics, and it's really fascinating. It has a lot to do with how people, humans, neurotypical humans, learn, process, and acquire language. So if you are a teacher anywhere in California, you will have English learners in your classes at some point, whether you're teaching preschool or seniors in high school. That will be your reality. So this is a really, really important area. We have to kind of understand how the brain works first and how babies work with their language, and then we can kind of apply that information and look at how and compare it to how second language acquisition happens. Next week, we're going to keep on with this topic. So we're going to look at some more specific populations and some very specific methodologies next week, and then also jump back into morphology. Okay, so I want to show you your assignments. When you go to the home page and you hit that week 3 button, you are going to end up on the summary page for this week. And if you take a look, you can see that there are a couple of assignments due Wednesday, 3 assignments due Friday, and then 3 due on Sunday. So pace yourself. If you have a tough week, then you might want to get started this weekend and do as much as you can. Make sure that you give yourself plenty of time. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. The first assignment that you're going to see is a quiz, and the quiz is just based on a textbook chapter that I have here. And what I'm going to tell you to do is to open that chapter up. While you are taking the quiz, you should see the answers in the order that you read them. The next assignment is a timeline of how babies acquire their first language. So for this assignment, I'm asking you to get a little creative if you can. I love this one because I'm not really a visually creative person, so I love to see what you guys come up with, the different timelines. And if that's just too much for you, you're just not really inclined to work like that, just give me bullet points. That's perfectly fine. Just make sure that you get all the stages in there and their descriptions. And then we are going to take a look at first language acquisition from a theoretical point of view. So I've got 3 theories that we're going to look at, and what I want you to do is describe all of them, but then tell me which one you think is primarily responsible for the way babies acquire their first language. Which one makes the most sense to you? Then we're going to be looking at Jeannie Wiley. Is a famous case of a girl who was discovered at age 13. So past the onset of puberty, she was discovered to have been completely isolated from language for the first 13 years of her life. And information about this theory that we're going to look at, or hypothesis, sometimes it's called a theory, sometimes a hypothesis, about the critical period for language learning. And so I have some information about that, and some article here that you can read if you want a deeper understanding. And then looking at Jeannie's case, I have a summary of what happened to her, but I also have a documentary here. It's the full documentary from PBS, and it's about an hour long. I do want you to look at it a little bit because it's just so fascinating to hear how she speaks, how she makes sound, and also seeing how she moves around and interacts with people. It's truly a tragically sad story, but at the same time, it's really fascinating. So I think once you turn this on, you're not going to be able to turn it off. So just know that, give yourself enough time, and also know that it is very emotional. Okay, and then for our lesson plan for this week, I'm going to ask you to write a lesson for Jeannie or for a group of Jeannies. Okay, so everything that you know about her, keep that in mind as you are doing your lesson plan. And you're going to post it onto a discussion board, but there are no replies required for this. So you just need to post your lesson plan up there so we can take a look at it. You can take a look at your classmates. And if you want to respond with a positive comment, or you have a question to ask, feel free to do that. I'll be popping in there to make little comments myself, but the replies are not required for this discussion board. Okay, then we are going to get into second language acquisition, and I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Stephen Krashen. He is the renowned, still to this day, expert in second language theory, second language acquisition. And so I have got a video here. It's about 15 minutes long, a little bit longer, but it's really great to hear him explaining it. He does a much better job than I ever could. And then a article that's kind of a summary of his theories. So the quiz is based on the article. But if you do watch the video, it's going to really help your understanding. And then another discussion board. For this one, the replies are required. 2 replies are required. And so what I'm asking you to do is to share one of the experiences that you've had somewhere along the line of learning or acquiring a language. And it could be anything. It could be, for me, it would be I took 2 years of high school Spanish and I hardly learned anything. Okay. My motivation was I was trying to get good grades. All right. The teachers that I had in Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 were terrible and mean and made us stand up in front of the class and pronounce these like canned dialogues in front of the class, and everyone would laugh at our pronunciation. It was traumatic. It was terrible. I learned nothing. Okay, so that's what I would explain, give all the details of that. And then for the replies, I have an article here about the factors that influence the acquisition of a second language. So you're going to read about these different factors, and you should be able to apply them to your classmates. Probably, all of them will apply in some way that makes that experience either successful or not successful. So you're going to reply to your classmate, and someone might reply to me and say, well, your motivation was not the right motivation. This is what it should be, and that's why you weren't successful, for example. Okay. The very last assignment for this week, the culminating assignment, is to design an ideal language school. All right. So you can just make your dream world language school. If there were no barriers, if you could just do anything in the entire world that you wanted, what would it be like? All right. I've got an article here that talks about different teaching methods. And again, next week, we're going to kind of come back to this, circle back around and look at some really specific teaching methods. So go ahead and browse through the article. Find, the one that kind of makes most sense, or there might be a few that make the most sense, and you can get some ideas for the activities that would be done, and then just describe it. You can write it any way you want. You can do it like in paragraphs, like an essay, or you can just simply make bullet points to make sure that you hit everything that you need to hit to get the best possible grade for this assignment. Okay, that is what we're going to be doing this week. And then remember, again, next week we're going to keep on going with second language acquisition and also get into morphology. Okay, so let me know if you have any problems or any questions, if anything doesn't work on the course or you get stuck. I will be around. You can email me or text me with questions. All right, I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.